Hey gang, Craig Ripley here. Welcome once again to Living Off the Slab. Now, for my regular viewers, first let me say I'm sorry I have not had a video out in a couple of weeks. And that's because it has been a really busy last couple of months since we got back from the Alaska trip. The month of September and then continuing on to October has been pretty busy. First of all, in September when I got back, I had to switch gears and take care of a rally that my club has, that is my Victory Riding Club, has up in Vermont every year in September. Once that was over, then we had a couple of weekend trips that we had planned. So Peter and I got out and did some camping, and then we took a foliage tour up into New Hampshire. Again, all good things, but just means I was really busy and couldn't get a video out. So for this video, what I want to do is talk about one of those weekend trips. You see, Peter and Stephen and I, we got to go out and ride the Trans-Mass Trail again. We did that earlier this year before we headed out to Alaska, just to have a little bit more off-road experience. But now we got to hook up with a fellow YouTuber, and that is Keith, who runs the Adventures with Me channel. Definitely check out his channel. He's got some pretty cool stuff out there. But also, Keith is one of the guys that put together what is called the Trans-Mass Trail. Now, if you're not familiar with the Trans-Mass Trail, what it is basically a series of dirt, gravel roads that are strung together that goes from the Connecticut border all the way to the Vermont border through western Massachusetts. You do have to get on a few sections of asphalt to connect some of these roads, but most of it is all dirt and gravel. It's a very relaxing ride. It's perfect for beginning off-road guys, and even, you know, guys like me who are just moderate experienced in riding off-road. Nothing too adventurous, no single track and those kinds of things. You completely can get out there with a big bike like a Tenere or like a GS, like the Ducati that Steven has or the Triumph that Peter has, and be really comfortable on these roads. However, there are some sections that are rather challenging, especially when it was raining like it was the weekend that we went. Now, I know riding in the rain doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun, but it actually made this weekend a lot more fun, right? It made it more challenging. We got to go through a bunch of nice puddles, through some really slippery roads, so it challenged us a little bit on these big bikes. And again, just made the whole experience much more enjoyable. Start our ride on the Trans-Mass Trail, we met Keith and another Craig at a Sunoco station near Winchester, Connecticut, where the trail starts. We then jumped on the trail and we headed on up to Ashfield, Massachusetts, where we had lunch at Elmer's Restaurant. Now, while at Elmer's, I got to sit down with Keith and find out a little bit more about his channel and about how he put the Transmass Trail routes together. You notice today that I'm coming to you from a new location. We are actually at Elmer's restaurant in Ashfield, Massachusetts, and I have a guest here with me, a fellow YouTuber. He has his own channel he calls Adventures with Me.
Yep.
And he is out giving us a guided tour today of the Transmass Trail. If you remember last year, Peter and Stephen and I, we did the Transmass Trail, but Keith here was one of the guys who put this together, right?
Yep.
So I thought we'd let him tell you a little bit about his channel, what
Sure.
he does, and then a little bit about how he came to throw this route together, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, my channel is primarily motorcycles, a lot of videos on Super Tenerays, which is how I came into contact with Craig. I also have a WR250R, I have videos on that. And a lot of it is just maintenance, road trips, just kind of following along the adventures of what we do. But what I've also branched out into is some other things, like I do a lot of unusual and abandoned places, and that seems to be some of the more popular videos I've got lately.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've watched a few of those myself. The train station thing, or the old whatever you.
Oh, the
roundabout?
roundhouse,
Yeah.
roundhouse in Chester.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And then,
Yep.
also talking about the Canadian border thing, I
Yeah.
thought was kind of interesting as
Yeah,
well. So.
and, just places cool places you can find on a motorcycle that makes it better to travel there by motorcycle. That's the kind of stuff I like.
So cool.
And the Transmass, I'll just say briefly, that was when 2008 I got a KLR and just needed a place to ride and wanted to learn how to ride dirt, and was planning to go to Alaska someday and thought I would get some experience out here and just put together a route. You can find it on ADV Rider and some other places, and a lot of people have cut their teeth on it, and I think 9 years later it's still a pretty decent ride. We've had a good time today despite the rain.
Have.
Yeah,
it's pretty rainy, and the roads are kind of wet, a little slippery in some spots, but overall we're having a great time. It's really a beautiful ride, stringing together a lot of dirt with some really actually nice pavement sections as well too. So if you haven't done it, it's great, especially on these big bikes that we have. It's something that they can easily handle. So if you don't have to worry about that if you're new to a little off-road riding.
Yeah, just get out there and explore.
Like I was last year. So.
You're doing fine.
Thanks. I've dropped it a few times now, so I'm good. So.
Today you're great.
After lunch at Elmer's, we got back on the bikes and we got on the trail again and headed up to Greenfield. And that's where we got off. That is Greenfield, Massachusetts. We did that because we were going to jump on Route 2 and head over to Irving, Massachusetts, where you can find Irving State Forest, and that's where we camped for the weekend. Now, one of the things I did get to do on this trip was actually sit down with Peter and Stephen at the campground and talk to them a little bit about the Alaska trip. So I've got a couple of videos, in fact I think 3 videos coming from them on their experiences going up to Alaska. So look for those coming out in the near future. And also remember, if you're going to buy from Twisted Throttle, please do so by linking through my website. That is www.livingofftheslab.com. Again, get a little commission on it. Helps support this channel and helps keep these videos coming. Also, we've got some t-shirts for sale. Again, you can get to them from the website. We use Teespring to get those t-shirts out there. Again, it just helps to support the channel. We really appreciate everything that you guys do, and thanks for watching.